this time of year, but it's happening, and we've got two been removed already. So they're happening. The rest will be happening this week of the ones that don't have a new piece coming in. So when we have that, when there's an artist bringing one in and taking one out, we work with them to make sure they can just take one trip and make that work. So there'll be a few will be around until the third week in April, and then when they come in to do their replacement, those will get swapped out. Um, so yeah, everything is on track at this point. We are still working on the new locations for the permanent pieces that were purchased, and so that's pretty close. So I think we're pretty close on that, right, Taylor?
Yeah.
Getting that set, and then we'll have some bases poured for those, and also work to get those relocations timed with the new pieces coming in. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in really good shape. The new permanent pieces, so that being keyhole portal, um, doves of peace, and coming together. All three of those require different permitting because they're now a permanent piece of our sculpture team, if you will. So all of that is being processed through, and things are looking promising for the timeline, which is good.
All right. And what we'll do also is, as the date approaches, I'll send you all. Well, I can do that now. Actually, we know the timing of when the new ones are installed. So let me share that with the rest of the team here, so you know. Put it on your calendar or what have you. And we do have it over multiple days. Last year was a single day, which was fun and exciting, but also crazy. So we do have it over a couple of days this time. Um, but any help or support someone can give on that day or wants to be there or just meet the artist, that's good too. So I'll send that out to everybody.
Do you have an estimate when that might be? Just
yeah, it's the dates are. I have to look at my calendar, but the
April 16th and 17th, which is a Wednesday and a Thursday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be a reception or anything like what we did last year at the Halley?
There will not, just simply because it's 2 days.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and it's right before the Easter holiday.
Oh, that's right.
So we figure people will also probably be escaping to their next trip at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so unfortunately we couldn't kind of work it out.
Well, I thought with the 2 days, it sounded like it might not be able to happen.
Yeah, it's tough. Okay. Any other questions on that? All right. Crosswalk art. We have a couple of those. Sean not being here, we probably won't get an update on the Hunter Street Park one unless you know something offline. Anybody knows. But how about the one on Salem Street?
Sure. So the Salem Street Crosswalk mural art, the contract for the selected artist is in progress. Once we receive the completed contract, I'm able to release the name of the chosen artist on our public art meetings. I'm working with traffic control to set up a traffic management company for painting this mural because it is a crosswalk. It's right in the middle of the street. So we got to make sure that our artist is nice and safe during their painting. I'll be sending out design consultation and thumbnail review meetings as soon as that contract is signed. That way we have those 2 dates on our calendar. It'll be very similar to how we did Sean's meetings, which they were virtual on Teams, take about an hour. First meeting will be essentially a meet and greet, go over what our wants and needs are for this mural with the artist. And then the second one, the artist will bring us some thumbnail ideas and we'll discuss those. We'll have a little bit of voting before then. We'll go from there. I'm hoping to get those meetings on the calendar at the end of this month, which is right now, and beginning of April. So things will be coming soon.
Great. Will we have some representation from downtown business owners?
Yes, we have 2 reps from downtown business owners as well as from the economic development department.
Okay, great. All right. Anything else on that one?
Nothing else on that one.
What is the, remind me, when is the hopeful date that it would be done by?
Sure. So we're hoping to
year?
paint in June.
Okay.
And then we want to have it done by July 1.
Okay.
That way
I was
it's in
thinking
this fiscal year.
I was thinking that was
Yes.
a pressure point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the art guide.
Okay. All right. So I think it was in January, Taylor and I met virtually with Karen Cox, who's the communications coordinator for the town of Apex, and talked to her about our idea for this passport size art guide. And she was very enthusiastic about it and thinks that we can make it happen. She would like, well, I suggested to be similar to Durham's in that there's a map in the front and it will show the pieces of art located on that map. And then we'll also include photos and descriptions of the murals and permanent art pieces as well. We talked about maybe including points of interest in the town, like Hunter Street Park and the Tobacco Mule Exchange on the map as well as the Depot Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center. And then there would be a distinction between public and private pieces of art as well. We're going to meet again in July, and I guess we need to talk about the pieces that we want to include in this guide, whether it's feasible to do the current sculpture walk pieces and then just change that part yearly. I mean, we were talking about maybe doing that. And but we'll need to do write-ups for the pieces. Kendall, I've forgotten her last name, but she designed some of the graphics and things that they already have. So she was thinking she might be a good person to help us with that. There's also the Explore Apex website, and I was looking at that earlier. It would be a good idea to maybe have that included on that as well, and just a separate entry for public art and the Apex Sculpture Walk, which it doesn't currently have that on there. It does have sort of a sub collection, well, it's called Weekend Itinerary. So it gives you sort of recommendations for things that might be fun to do, and the Sculpture Walk is listed on that. But it would be nice to have it listed on its own, and also the pieces of art, and maybe even have them shown on the map. So that maybe we could combine that with that website, which is the Explore Apex website.
Great.
Yeah.
To add to that,
Yes.
thank you, Susan. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. I'll talk with Economic Development, who actually runs the Explore Apex website, and see if we can get an individual article or spotlight, if you will, for the sculpture walks. When we met with Karen Cox about the art guide, like Susan said, she was very enthusiastic. One of her biggest questions was, what's the timeline? We told her that we have many projects running right now, and what we would like to do is the goal is to have the project itself completed by the end of the year. So between July and December, we'll have the time to work with communications on the overall scope of what it will look like. But between now and July, we need to work on art assets. So differentiating between privately owned, so any businesses in town. So when we're talking Apex, we mean town of Apex. And that was kind of the conversation that we had was, do we want to open it up so big that we risk maybe missing one and dealing with that? Or do we focus on downtown Apex, where we can possibly do both private and publicly owned pieces, so between the town of Apex and individual building owners and their pieces. So between now and July, I'll be working on a legal contract that will essentially allow the owner of that building to write up something that will give us some permission to essentially produce an image and that write-up of the piece in this document, the art guide. So that was one of the items. So we kind of had talked and narrowed it down to downtown Apex, and we're prioritizing town assets, but we will be opening it up to non-town assets if we can get the legal process together.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Is there any precedent for that legal process you're talking about? Like, is it something that we've done before, or is there a simple form?
I believe legal will have no problem putting something together. It's essentially a photo release
Yeah.
and a write-up. So we would be, I'm simplifying it, of course, but
Yeah.
I don't anticipate it being a problematic
Yeah,
item,
okay.
and we'll have, between now and July to kind of work it out with them.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, because I was going to add, there's a new mural on the charging station
that's
building,
right.
which is really
Yeah,
nice.
that's nice.
So,
Really
it's nice to see that
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. And the last item we have is Peak Fest. So in the past, we had determined that we weren't doing a big production, but we did want to be involved in some degree. We were going to kind of piggyback on the town setup they already have for Parks and Rec, and I think a couple of other organizations. So Taylor, what is it that we would need to do to, I don't know, provide content or an idea or what have you for that setup?
Sure.
Yeah.
So if we're doing, if we're going to be operating under the Parks and Rec tent, essentially, we would be limited to a couple spaces. So we could put together a flyer, and we could either do an A-frame or an equivalent on a easel. So we have those two visuals that we would need to put together for that. We don't have to do both. We can do one or the other.
Right.
And then ideally we would have representation there, whether that be members of the Public Art Committee or trained volunteers that we can talk to for that time.
Okay.
It's a relatively low load,
Yeah.
especially with the size. We would really only need one or two people
Right.
during each shift. And I already have the space available.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there? I know that you have a full day that day, as always.
Yeah.
Of course.
And if it was only like an hour or two, like I think that would be doable for me. But
Pop in. And
yeah, pop in
cover a
and
gap
yeah,
or something
exactly.
like
Yeah,
that.
I think I could
Right.
easily do
I
that.
didn't know Brad, Susan.
Or
This is
possibly our baby might be coming
Ah.
that week, so
Ooh.
if he comes early, then I can be there.
Almost
But
sound like an Amazon order.
yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well,
So it
congratulations.
kind of just
That's awesome.
depends when he shows
Yeah, yeah,
up.
yeah. Fantastic.
So that's is that the 3rd of May?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I might be going to a Mets game
Oh, so you make
in,
okay.
It's
like
We
95,
feel like a
right?
thin representation.
in Phoenix. So, yeah.
In 2 weeks, I can follow up with
Okay.
whether I'll be able
Yeah,
to
okay,
be there.
so let's keep an eye on it and see what materializes. Okay, very good. Okay, any other items to bring up today?
I had something that I just observed. Is there a plan for any maintenance on any of the transit murals? I've noticed a couple that looked like I don't know if we have a plan moving forward or what the future
Are you
holds.
talking the bus stop?
Yeah,
ones?
the bus stop. Yeah,
Yeah.
the transit.
I don't know of one.
I think only maybe one I noticed specifically was on over by Apex Elementary. I feel like one of those looked like it was needing, touch up, but I didn't know if there was a plan. So just I'm seeing if there's some now, like in the next, something to think about
Yeah.
for the future.
The one at the depot also needs some care.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can reach out to planning
Yeah.
and see, because the leaders for that project are, working on a new project. So
Yeah.
I can definitely talk to them and see what the maintenance looks like on that.
Yeah. I just didn't know if like a clear coat to protect it? Like if there's another coat is needed of paint and then a clear coat, or I don't even know if it's something we have paint to just touch it up, or if it's, like, do we just start talking about another one to replace it? But I don't know what the timeline
Sure.
was. Cause those have been up
Turnover for
those
those.
have been up for a year?
Couple of years.
Yeah,
Couple
about
years?
2 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, this summer I think it'll be 2
Yeah.
years, yeah.
Wow.
You know, I noticed it, the one on the depot, after the snow, because I think salt,
Yeah,
can really affect,
like the abrasion,
really
yeah.
affect it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something
No, I'll look into that and I'll get an answer.
I just noticed it and I was like, well, moving forward, it's just gonna get worse, so.
Yeah, well, and it's good to know because I have the paint that they used
Yeah.
during that project at the Halley.
Yeah.
And when we go into actually purchasing paint for our crosswalk mural across Salem, I want to make sure that if we're doing that paint, we have a better top coat.
Yeah.
Because every year we
Yeah.
don't want to keep. We want to make sure that the upkeep is
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah, and if it just needs another
And
clear
easy.
coat, if it would last
Yeah.
longer if we did a clear coat over it after
Absolutely.
6 months, like, just moving forward, just preemptively to find out, like, what we need to do. And if there's anything that needs to be done, like, if any of our members could, like, help touch it up, if we have the paint.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the permission would look like from the artist, if they would want permission for us to touch it up, or if it's easy to touch up. Some of them are a little easier probably than others, but,
Yeah,
It's
or
something that-
just an alternate, like
Yeah.
you said, is the time to replace it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's
Yeah.
X amount of years and then.
because I haven't
you
heard if
rotate
there's,
through with another
Yeah.
image.
yeah.
You know.
I'll look into it.
All right, any others?
I was gonna ask how we are standing on the Halley projection.
Sure. Yeah, it's still being held up with the permitting process. So there are many hands and many eyes that need to review it. So that's where we're at right now. Hoping that we'll have an answer within the next month because we're ready to get it. We're ready to get it up there and running, and I'm ready to see it shining on the side of the Halley. Yeah.
Do you know if that parking sign that's illuminated as you approach the Halley, is that a permanent feature or is that
The
just
smart
while
parking.
there's construction?
I do not know. I can definitely talk about it.
The only
feel like-
reason I ask is because maybe it's very obvious because it's new.
Yeah.
I don't think it really conflicts
Yeah.
with it, but
Yeah.
it's in the same plan.
Well, I feel like it's part of the downtown plan, so it might, I can't imagine that they would like, I think it's part of the plans moving forward, so I would guess that's.
I'll see what the timeline is if it's a permanent fixture.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
All right, good stuff. Any others? Okay, how about a motion to adjourn
Make a motion to adjourn.
and a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.